This is usually where I put my yoga stuff, but I've got something a little bit different for you today. I went on a solo wild camp. It's the first time I've ever been wild camping, and I went on my own. You might be wondering what the hell that has to do with yoga. Well, I am a great believer that people are practicing yoga and they don't even know it. It's not about the shapes on the mat. It's about how we go about living our confusing modern lives. I'm going to do a different video because I could wang on about how yoga and being outdoors is one and the same. What I did was I got on a train with all my gear on my back to Church Stretton. I did a little hike around the southern area of the Long Mynd, and then I pitched my tent on top of a hill and spent the night there. Came home the next morning. I'm going to come back at the end and just cover off a few little questions you might have. Other than that, I really hope you enjoy this little video. Cheers. So I got to the top of the hill to check out where I was going to camp later, and I decided to talk at the camera about why I decided to go wild camping. And it's way too windy, you can't hear a word I'm saying. But in summary, I was feeling a bit shit, partly because of the global pandemic and partly because of other stuff going on. And I just needed to do something that pushed me out of my comfort zone, woke me up, got me outdoors, and also something that I did by myself. As an aside, how funny do my ears look here, all backlit by the sun? I'm like an adorable little lab rat. Was it a pigeon? Was it some bird of prey? I don't know. I haven't brought my binoculars. I'm trying to learn about birds. My dear friends, some sisters I know very well and are very knowledgeable on their birds, are trying to teach me. They bought me some bins, and whenever I take them out, I never see a sausage or a bird. And I'm kind of paranoid about my pack weight because I haven't hiked with all of my wild camping gear before. I'm sorry I didn't bring my binoculars. So of course I'll see loads of birds and not be able to identify them properly. So I've just done a slightly mad hike. It's 6:30 now, and I set off at about, I guess about 5:30, and the idea was to walk around this track that follows the base of Round Hill. And I've been using a GPRS app called Gaia. We've probably only been using it for about a week or two, but it's free. And the routes are all laid out on the map really well. It navigates really well, it uses GPRS. But I suppose the issue, and that's an issue with any map or GPRS system, is once you start following the track, you get a certain way along and then the track just disappears. The long and short of it is that my track disappeared. I kept going, I used the app to navigate, I got back to where I needed to, but I had to climb up a pretty steep hill, so I'm shattered now. I've got a bit of a sense of trepidation because I don't want to set up camp too early. I'm doing the wild camping, strictly stealthy, pitch up late, leave early, and the sun's due to set about 7:30, so I don't really want to be setting up any earlier than kind of 7ish really. So I've got half an hour to walk back, find a good spot, and then tentatively start putting my tent up for my first ever wild solo. I couldn't ask for a better day, could I? Talk about beginner's luck. Battery on the GoPro has died just in time for sunset. So the tent is pitched, the sky's gone red. Don't think the iPhone camera is really picking it up, but it is a beautiful evening. I'm so glad I did this. I don't feel too scared about being here on my own. You can still kind of see the town in the background. You can hear the road noise, which is annoying but reassuring. I know that I could hightail it down the hill and I'd be back in civilization, so that's all good. I thought I'd show you a little bit of my setup because from what I can tell from my probably thousands of hours of researching wild camping on YouTube, it's all about the gear. So I'll give you a little bit of a gear rundown of what I've bought, what I want to get. While I'm talking about YouTube, I just want to give a shout out to a couple of channels that were invaluable. The first one is Dave Outdoors. I've joined a load of Facebook groups about wild camping, mentioned that I was looking at this area, and he was just so encouraging and helpful, and I did a very big deep dive into his back catalogue of videos, and I probably wouldn't be here if it wasn't for him. He's got some compatriots in Shropshire. There's an account by a guy called Richie called Wild Astro. That was really lovely account. Sorry, I'm like a sniffly mess. And there's a Shropshire lad, a chap called Gordon. Big shout out to those guys. Very encouraging to see people just getting out and about and doing it. Right, onto the gear. I researched tents for a long time, and I decided that as a beginner I was going to go for something that wasn't ultra lightweight but was as bomb proof as I could get for less than 200 quid. I ended up with the Vango Torridon 200. It's a heavy tent for backpacking solo. It's 3 kilograms, actually slightly over 3 kilograms, but it pitches outer and inner together. So as a newbie, if you're pitching in the rain, I feel relatively confident about it. It's very sturdy from what I can tell. It's only gone up in the garden. I've given it a good shake, and then, you know, I've watched a lot of YouTube videos. People seem to be happy with how it's faring in some very treacherous weather. It's got 2 vegetables, which I really like because I'm hoping to tempt my husband or my best bud out into this. It's pretty palatial for one person. I wonder if in the fullness of time I'll end up with something smaller and lighter. Probably. I get the feeling half of this gig is all about collecting tents. Right, I'm going to run you through my sleep system now. This is the Vango Fuse sleeping bag. It's a combination of synthetic and down, so it's pretty light. I think it's just less than 1 kilogram, or maybe around the kilogram mark, and it packs down quite small. It's comfort rating of 0. I've used it at festivals. I think I've shrunk it in the wash.
I'm also a side sleeper and I roll around a lot. So what I've tried to do tonight is kind of replicate a quilt and see if I like that. So I've made a little foot box at the bottom by zipping it up and turning the zip to the bottom and just spreading it out. Underneath that I've got a silk sleeping bag liner, which I really love using sleeping bag liners. I don't see people using them much, but I feel like it's quite flexible. If I'm too hot, just whip this up, and I've got this. It also stops you from, if you are going down this weird quilt route, lying straight on your sleeping pad. Socks. Trichology pillow. Not used that before. We'll see how we get on. And then under here is the Pariah Recharge Small. So this is a torso length pad. It's an insulated pad. It was 70 quid. It weighs 380 grams and it's about 120 centimetres long. I am 5'5.5", so about 165-ish centimetres tall, and I sleep on my side curled up in a little ball. I'm hopeful that this will be quite comfy. What I may need to do for insulation is I've got a little bit of a knockoff of the Thermarest Z-Lite. This is a Lomo. I've trimmed it off and left the big piece at home and brought this, which might just go under there to keep the back of my legs warm. I might end up with my feet on my pack or something. We'll see. I'm cooking on the Trangia mini cook set. I really ummed and ahed about what kind of stove setup to get, but at the moment this is all very new and it's probably going to be me doing one-nighters, so a little alcohol stove seemed like a good idea. I've made a makeshift windshield out of like a tin platter. I've just got in here some rice, some meat, some chicken stock and some tomatoes. It's that packet rice that you buy ready made. And in here I have some rum. Yeah!
It's about 5:15 in the morning. I have had a pretty good night's sleep. I think I fell asleep about 10:15. I've tossed and turned a little bit. Excuse me. Because I've been on a slope and I've been sliding a little bit. Couldn't quite get comfy. Not cold at all tonight. When I fell asleep it was quite blowy and flappy. But I got up probably about half an hour ago and it's so still and the sky is so beautiful. I wish I could get the stars to pick up on these videos, but I can't really. I've got to head off quite early today, so I think I'm going to be breaking camp sort of about 6:30, which is annoying because the sun comes up at 7:15, but I can't complain. Enough is as good as a feast. Bit of breakfast, bit of coffee, and a crazy beautiful morning. So I won't be able to see the sunrise properly anyway here because this great big bank of mist and cloud has come in. So a couple of hours ago I could see all the twinkly lights of the towns down at the foot of the hills. All gone now. So I just need to eat this, drink this, pack up, and bugger off. Obviously I'm following Leave No Trace, so you will never have known I was ever here. Obligatory Leave No Trace shop. Absolutely no reason why you should come camping and leave a load of mess. Leaves are just starting to change colour for autumn. Bring out the last drops of summer while you can. So there you have it. That was my little mini adventure. I think that mist that rolled in must have rolled right across where I was pitched and hit the outer fly. So I took everything down in a hurry, wanting to catch a train, and it's made some of my stuff a bit wet. But it's a beautiful sunny day today, so I've just pegged it all out on the line, so that's all fine. A couple of questions that you might have that I'm going to anticipate. One, how heavy was your backpack? My backpack was about 11 kilograms going there and about 10 kilograms coming back. I took a load of water because I don't have a water filter, and it was really, really hot. The other question that you might have is wild camping legal? It's a bit of a fuzzy grey area, but technically no, in England it's not. In Scotland it is. In England, most of the land is owned. You can try and get permission, but technically if you wild camp you are trespassing, which is I think a civil offence. However, there's a huge community of wild campers, and if you stick to a couple of rules or principles, you'll be okay. So the first thing is to pitch very far away from the trail or any roads. The second thing is to arrive pretty late, so I got there about half an hour before sunset, and to leave pretty early, so I left about sunset time. The other thing is to practice leave no trace, and this is another really good philosophy that ties in with yoga, you know, Hince, do no harm, leave no trace. So yeah, you need to be taking all your rubbish with you and not scorching the earth with campfires and stuff like that. So pretty simple things to follow. I really loved it. I'm going to do more of this stuff and potentially share it here. Lifetree Explores, Lifetree Outdoors, something like that. Let me know what you thought of this in the comments. Okay, cheers, bye. Hello, me again. You must be thinking now, oh my god, when's she going to shut up about her trip? She only went for like 12 hours. But it's a week on now and I'm editing this video. And I posted on social media about doing a wild solo camp. I got an overwhelming response of people saying, oh, you're so brave, how did you do that? So I just wanted to add on here my rationale behind being brave and doing a wild solo. So I was at the top of a hill that was quite difficult to walk up in the daytime, let alone at night. So I felt relatively comfortable that once I'd pitched up and I was alone, I wasn't going to be bothered by anyone. And I think that's part of wild camping anyway, is that you want to make sure that you're not going to be asked to move along by a ranger or something. And really, whatever you're doing as a lone woman, you should have your wits about you and make sure that you haven't been followed, that you feel relatively safe in your whereabouts. I'm just going to shout out another YouTuber who is a young woman who wild camps on her own. Her name is Athena Mellor. I'm going to put a link to her in the description as well. So slightly different take, rather than that local knowledge, just a little bit of inspiration from this particular YouTuber about going out on your own. She went and did a wild camp in lockdown and it really inspired me, and it seemed to be a tonic for her the way it has been for me. I'm a week on now and I really felt like it did me a lot of good mentally to get out of my comfort zone. So yeah, just wanted to add that on. Cheers, speak soon, take care, namaste.